Okay, so this weekend I had a chance to do some archery for the first time ever, which was very fun. And um, there's a lot to be said about holding something like a weapon in your hands, but the beauty of it that I felt in the very little teeny experience that I had was um, what yielding and grounding really do for you. So there's so much unrest right now. I mean, every time I read my inbox, there's just so much, right? There's so much, and it just keeps coming. And I think it's really easy to kind of like lose your center and lose your focus. And we have to find tools to just keep coming back and keep coming back to find that still place within us. And when I was pulling on the bow, you know, when there's that moment before you release, I don't know if any of you have held a bow and arrow. This was my first time ever. But that moment before you release the bow is a quiet space, a really quiet space. I found it to be a very quiet space where I had this opportunity to feel yielding, to find myself in alignment, and to focus deeply on something. And then the last bit of it was to let go, just to let go. And to me, that was the hardest part, the letting go of my hand, to just let my fingers release the arrow was the hardest part for me. And I think this is not that uncommon. I don't know about archery, but I think it's not that uncommon for us all to work really hard on trying to stay centered, trying to stay centered for our children, be grounded, you know, focus on what's important, you know, do all the right things, create all our time and effort into cultivating our well-being. But sometimes the last bit of just surrendering can be very difficult to let go of the work that you've done and let it release outward. So it made me, of course, think of my yoga practice. Everything makes me think of my yoga practice, but this sense of in yoga, it's considered the dual aspects. So the union, the word yoga means to unify or yoke together. Traditionally, like two oxen, the yoke between two oxen that plow the field, two is stronger than one. That yoke is the union of yoga, and it's the sense that you need to yoke together oppositional forces in lots of different ways. But in this sense, it's that can you give your full effort, the tapas, the will, the effort into whatever it is that you're cultivating, and at the very same moment, can you let go? Can you let go of all expectations of your work having any fruition? Can you let go of your desire to have the world be a certain way? It really, for some of us, is much easier to work hard and cultivate the work. But the surrender is the hardest part of letting go of the fruits of your labor. You know, the tree dropping its fruit. Can you imagine how, well, it's probably pretty easy. I have no idea, but I would imagine as a human, you know, it's not so easy to just drop your fruits, all the work that you've done, to just let them go. So think about that for yourself. Maybe it has nothing to do with letting your fingers off of an arrow, but maybe it has something to do with your work or your family life, or just how you are experiencing the world at the moment. So let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall, and you know, just give thanks to the wise masters of the yogic path and many other spiritual paths that have come before us, bushwhacking through the forest to lay out a plan of this helps, this helps. So this sense of balancing our effort and will with our ability to surrender and not hold attachment to our fruits. This is a gift that's been given to us by those who have come before us. So let's close our eyes and give thanks for any spiritual teacher you've had in your life who has shown you that. Maybe it's your children. They are really good spiritual teachers. Okay. So let's just take a moment to drop into the body. Come into the state of breath that's here now. How is your breath today? Take stock of your physical self. Are you well? Did you sleep well? Do you have energy today? Is there comfort in your body? Is there not? Can you release and relax your shoulders? Can you feel the combination of yielding and surrendering toward the earth with your sit bones or your breath, or the weight of your legs, balanced with the upward rising forces, not letting one tug on the other? Can you find expansion? Can you find ease? Can you find stillness? Maybe you find it in your body a little easier than the mind. So if you do find a still place, maybe the bottom of the exhale, just that quick moment, feel the silence there and let that expand to the mind, to the body. And place your palms. And if you are yoking these forces, which is the stronger of your oxen? Which leads? Your effort or your surrender? Maybe you're really good at letting go, but it takes you a little bit of effort to, kind of get up the gumption to move forward. So which is your leader and which is your follower today? Might be different yesterday. And see if you can, in your practice today, find balance. Let's go ahead and relax the hands and come onto your back. So let's take a moment to settle ourselves on the floor. Okay, spread out your limbs, get wide, get spacious, make some room. If you have props in the way, get rid of them. Okay, try not to have anything touching you for a moment so you can expand your physical form. Take a deep breath into your expansion. Feel the yielding, feel the radiating from your center outward. Take a moment to discover these more energetic forces of your practice. These subtle energies really guide us more powerfully in some ways than we are aware. So get in touch. Feel the physicality of what it feels like to yield, what it feels like to expand from your center, to come in toward your center. So let your breath be guiding both of these forces. All right, and then as you're ready, let's stretch. Okay, so stretch your arms overhead, stretch the right side, stretch the left side, come into the spaciousness in your ribs. See what it feels like to notice how the breath changes, the sensations of the body change when you lift your arms overhead. All right, and then bring your knees into your chest and rock around a little bit. Just going back and forth, feeling the ease across your sacrum, your pelvis. And then let's circle the knees, going one direction a few times. Going another direction a few times. All right, so right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Feel the extension through your spine and find your feet. So discover what's there. Is this the first time you've paid attention to the sensations of your feet today? Unless maybe you woke up and your feet were painful, and that was the only sensation you've had in your feet so far. It's just trying to release pain. So let's enjoy your feet. Hopefully have a little bit of enjoyment there.
And then left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor, and feel some movement here. Rolling your ankles, try to get the sensation into your calves and your shins, the sides of your shins. All right, and then right knee into the chest, rock one more time. And circle your knees or semicircle your knees or just sway your knees out and in. Okay, just noticing the range of motion in your hips. Let's pause in the outer rim here for a moment. So pull your knees as far apart as what is comfortable for you. And just kind of hang out there a little bit and notice what's happening. Where do you feel this in your hip joints, or is it just in your inner thighs? And then slide those feet in, or knees in, grab onto your feet. I know this is big for this early in the practice, so feel free to hold behind your knees instead of your feet if you want, and come into a rocking happy baby pose. Just feel a sense of ease, hopefully ease across your back. Deep, deep flexion in your hips. And then let's turn this flexion into holding your feet. So bring your feet closer, knees wide. So a little Baddha Konasana in the air. Pull your knees away from your shoulders. And then we're going to slowly let go of our feet and bring them down to the ground. Try to bring your feet close up toward the pelvis and allow the knees to open wide. So this also is a big thing to do without warming up too much. So just notice where your Supta Baddha Konasana is, where when you have no support, when there's nothing underneath your knees. This is usually a very restful pose, but when we're not using props, sometimes it can be challenging. So allow the rotation of the hips to happen. Expand your breath to the pelvis. See what it feels like to surrender your knees. Is there gripping somewhere? What can let go? Seek any little muscles around the femur bones. Kind of walk around the whole 360 around the head of the femur bones and melt whatever you can to let the knees fall. Find the breath. And then once you're here, without opening your eyes and looking at your legs, sense which knees do you sense is dropped lower to the earth. Are you tipped in your pelvis in any way? All right, and then go ahead and bring the knees back in. Hug your chin to your chest, knees to your chest. Inhale, open up your body wide, navel to tips. Exhale, chin and chest in, knees in. A couple more times through our starfishes. Open your body up like a full body lying down cat-cow. Exhale to close your body up, round the back a little bit. Let's do this one more time. Starting to feel that navel radiation become muscular energy, but try not to lose the energy body. Let it not get overpowered by the physical body. Let's roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. And start moving some cat-cows. Take your time here. It's such a beautiful way to warm the spine, so don't rush it. Feel it instead. Notice what's here, what feels good, what kind of movement in the spine feel comfortable. What's a little like, oh, you're a little tight, let me wake you up. Where is the breath easily traveling? Where is the breath not easily traveling? Maybe you completely forgot about your breath until right now. And that's okay. Always in your yoga practice, see if the breath can be, the pot that you're stirring on the back of the stove that you just keep on having to tend to. Never is something you can leave alone for too long. And then find your way into some different ranges of motion. How are your shoulders? How's your neck? Just find whatever it is that you need through your body. Breathing. Move your head around. And then come back towards child's pose. Stretch the arms if it feels good. What's here? Can you walk the fingertips out in front of you? Is there length to be had, or maybe not? Can you find your edge and not cross? Can you find a sense of surrender? Is there a balance between the work of the body, the sense of trying to find the fullness of any posture you're in, both in the completeness of your sensation, like I'm in my body, but also in your range of motion? How extreme are you in your body? Can you find the sweet spot of balance there where you're not going too far, coupled with the element of letting go. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. Feel a sense of openness through the right side rim. Enjoy the space that you have here. Relax the base of the skull. Breathe deeply. And then walk your hands over to the other side. Relax the base of the skull again. Notice if there's tension anywhere that you need to surrender to. Remember, your breath is always the guide to these things. Anytime we're trying to find the energy body, the breath is our guide there. Come up on tall fours. Inhale, reach the right arm up to the sky. Slide that arm through. Let your head relax. Breathe into the back of the heart. What does it feel like to touch the breath in the back body? To expand your awareness, almost like the back side of you is the front side of you with the eyes to see. And then inhale and come all the way back up, reaching that arm to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Second side, arm up, arm under. Gaze toward the floor, let the head be relaxed and soft. What are you feeling here? How does the connection of your ribs and your spine feel? How does the breath feel? What sensations of stretch are you enjoying in your shoulders? What sensation of spaciousness are you enjoying in your breath? And then inhale and lift that arm all the way back up to the sky. Place the hand down around the floor again. Spread out your hands, spread out your feet, and come up to dog pose. And now, this is our first big pose. Enjoy it. There's lots of space here. Take your time, pedal your feet, move your hips around, move your head around. Have some bouncing or rocking. Explore the sensations in your body. Allow your mind to come travel everywhere. Don't forget that the breath takes you everywhere. Ride on the breath. What do you love about this pose? There's probably something you like, even if there's a lot you don't. Can your exhales give you that balance point between the work of the pose, the yielding in, the physical effort of hugging muscle to bone? Can you balance that with the surrender? This is where yielding really lives. So surrender into the earth, feel your whole body, not just the breath surrender, not just the head surrender, feel the body let go into the earth. Feel that rebound, the balance point between the effort and the surrender. It's easy to say, but feel it. Instead of think it, feel it in the body. And then as you're ready, walk forward, come into Uttanasana. Feel free to move around. So, get the spine to open up a little bit. Feel free to wag the head around or the tail or the shoulders. Loosen things up. Feel the bottom of your feet. Maybe pull up your toes off the floor. Maybe come onto the balls of the toes. Get the feet to wake up a little bit more. Inhale for a halfway lift. The tops of the thighs are stretching back. The spine is long. Exhale and melt. Again, push off your feet. Rise all the way up. Lean back a little bit if it feels good. You can arch your back a little bit here. Stretch open the chest. And then exhale and find the stability of the spine. Bring the palms together at the heart. Balance here. Feel the yoking of the two palms. Symbolically bring those two forces together into equal balance. Yield into the earth. Close your eyes for a moment. Sink. Try not to surrender too much where you lose the rebound. So this balance point between propping ourselves, efforting too much, between collapse, surrendering too much. Balance. I think you could never practice this enough. I know I can't practice this enough. Do you feel the center of gravity? Do you feel your center? Do you feel that you are centered, that you're finding balance? Inhale, reach the arms all the way up to the sky. Big wide circles with the arms, melt all the way down. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and surrender toward the floor. Step your left foot back, right foot forward, coming into a lunge. Find the way into a lunge. Start moving, warming the tissues of the body as you open the hip flexors and open the hamstrings. This does not have to be giant movements. Stay within your range that is comfortable. Maybe stretching just to the edge of your range, but not flying past. So if you tend to lead with your effort, a lot of times if you're effortful, you can kind of ignore the subtler symptoms of the body and the mind that tell you enough is enough. So are you the type that feels a niggle of an injury and you should keep repeating the same pattern over and over regardless because you like hammering a nail? Okay, so just notice if that's one of your tendencies. And also notice if you don't go to your edge. If you're like, nah, not today. Okay, so do you have a little bit too much give up? Do you give up a little too quickly? So just notice your tendencies. Extend the spine. Feel the sense of space from your crown to your back heel. When you're ready, rise up. Put your arms wherever you want them to be so they can stay on your hips. You can bring your arms up in the air, out, anything that feels really good in your body. Come into that sense of space, expansion. Is there a capacity to yield and expand simultaneously? And change something if you lose that balance point. There's so much to be done in your physical body to change your shape, to work with the energy. So think less about the importance of, I must look like this in a form, and instead feel, I must feel, or I want to feel like this in this form. So all it is, it's just a shape. It's not, the pose is not the destination. Let's release our hands down to the floor, back foot comes forward. Balance out the hips again. Inhale for a halfway lift, sit bones lift, thigh bones back, shin bones forward. Feel the feet. Melt your body down again. Inhale, rise all the way up. Arms coming to the sky, big breath. Exhale, release the hands behind you. Open the front of the chest, bend your knees, arms come away from the spine wherever they go, whether it's an inch or a foot. See what it feels like to release the head. Deep breaths into the shoulders. Exhale and melt your arms back down. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step your right foot back. Left foot is forward. Come into your lunge. Start feeling the movement of your body here. Stay within your range. Color right to the edges. What are you feeling here? Remember, this is such a good stretch for your sciatic nerve. So if you tend to have a little pinchiness going on in your sciatic nerve, touch your boundary, but try not to send your nerve into a strong sensation. So it's good to touch up against it if you tend to have sciatic nerve, but not go deep into the sensation of that nerve pain. Okay, so you want to open things up just to the right point. All right, and then as you're ready, let's go ahead and come forward, come into a lunge here. Stretch your heart, feel the stability of your legs. Start to yield, give yourself to the earth. Feel the rebound, give yourself to the effort. Climb up. Okay, find your arms wherever they want to be. That gives you a sense of freedom and space, stability. All right, so is the effort more challenging for you? Or is the surrender more challenging for you? Maybe you're really balanced and enjoy that. If you have that sense of balancing those forces, live there. Cultivate that as much as you can. There's something to be said about grit and just holding steady through something that's effortful, but see if you can feed the ease into that. It will sustain you a lot longer. The least amount of effort required, the most efficient pathway that you're capable of. Bring the hands down onto the floor and step back to a plank.
So lots of rigidity possible in this posture as you stabilize toward the center, but see if there's some melting in the joints, maybe the elbows, maybe the knees. Maybe it's just the way your face feels in this pose. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. If you're full of effort, where can you let go? If you're kind of lazily hanging out there, where can you fortify and shore up things? Put your knees down if you need to. Come to the floor. Take a deep breath. Cobra pose doesn't have to be huge. Exhale, melt back down. Stabilize through your center body. Try to keep the stability of your core wrapped around your spine as you lift up. Exhale, one more time, melting down. Take your hands underneath your forehead. Curl your toes under, lift your kneecaps up and separate your legs wider. Wake up the outer hip muscles, the gluteus medius and minimus. Let's lift those legs in the air. Toes turn down toward the floor for a moment. Find your breath. Notice if you have strength more on one side than the other. And then let's release the legs. Turn the knees out. Inside edge of your feet come to the floor. So think, you're turned out. Okay. Find your breath again. Let's lift those legs up from here. Stabilize through your core. Don't forget your center body. So our feet are turned out now. As we lift, feel more strength in the gluteus maximus. And then go ahead and release. Bring your knees back to the center and windshield wiper your knees. If there's any tension you took in your lumbar spine, just go ahead and let that go now. Deep breaths. Maybe something as simple as letting your exhale come naturally is your letting the arrow go. A lot of times if you are effortful, we hold the in-breath unconsciously and forget to exhale until our body's like, no, you gotta exhale. So see if you can pay attention to that transition point. Go ahead and come back up onto all fours, swirl around and find your way to dog pose. See if you can find that moment at the end of the inhale. Can you just let it fall into the exhale? If you are a breath holder in concentration, do what you can to keep the flow of the exhale coming. Find your way into this posture. Can you feel the flow of the exhale coming? Let's walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Fold a little bit, wag your tail if you need to. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Chair pose, squat. Toes can be together. If you can avoid using a block between your thighs, do that just for today. But if you really need that stability, then put a block between your thighs. Stretch your arms wherever they're comfortable. Take a deep breath, squat in. Start to let the thighs warm, some heat flowing. Heels are weighted. Relax the neck. Change the arm positions. If you can't, relax the neck. If you're taking tension in the upper breath, change something in your upper body to drop the weight into your legs. Okay, inhale, arms up. Exhale, float your torso down. Inhale, back to chair. Float your torso down, pick up your heels. Balance. Inhale, heels down. One more time, float your torso down, pick up your heels. Heels down, stand all the way up. Find your breath for a moment, chair pose again. If you're dizzy, stop for a moment, tuck your chin. Find your posture. We're gonna stand on our right leg and just hover the left leg up. So you might wanna change what you're doing with your arms. Just see what feels good. Stabilize through the center. Can you effort? Can you surrender? Let the out breath come. Okay, stand up on that one leg, lift your arms to the sky, place your foot down onto the ground. Don't stress if your balance goes away. Let go of the need for balance. Come on up, chair pose. Bearing weight into the left foot, hover the right leg off the floor. Change your arms if you need to. Stabilize through your pelvis, through your core. Keep the exhales coming. Are you dominant? Do you like one leg more than the other? Okay. Put that foot down, arms up. Oh wait, I forgot, lift your leg up, sorry. Arms up. Now put your foot down onto the ground. Stay rooted through your right leg. We're gonna open up into tree pose. Hopefully we've done enough to warm up the hips for this posture. Bend your knee a little bit, so find your yielding. Become the tree. Trees are deeply rooted. You know, if you have a tree with no roots, they're going to fall down. Not that it's about not falling down, because we don't care, right? We're not attached to balance. We're not attached to the shape we're taking. We're trying to feel the sensations of the body. So put your arms wherever you want them to be. Can you use the work of the outer hip muscles to bring that knee back? Can you stabilize through the center? Can you yield in your standing leg? That means the knee is softer, not locked out. Bring the breath into the diaphragm of the soles of your feet. Is there a balance between holding yourself steady and letting go? What happens when you fall? Are you able to just let go and try again, or do you attach? Darn it, I don't have good balance today. Why can't I do this? You know, can you let go of those kinds of thought attachments? Can you let go of the body attachment of gripping for dear life to not fall over? Okay, unwind the leg. Place that foot down onto the ground. Shake out your foot if you need to. Bring your foot up. So remember, your foot does not have to be up here at your thigh. It can be down lower on your calf or on even toes on the floor. Try not to put your heel on your inner knee. You don't want to stress your knee joint. So find where you need to be. And if you need to hold on to something, hold on to something. Sometimes surrender means knowing when you need support. Okay. Sometimes effort means I'm not going to rely on the support that I always am afraid I need. Okay, so once again, this is a titration of your own personal yoking of those forces. And every day is different. Allow the knee to move back. Use the work of the hips to create that. Soften your yielding leg. Find any posture you want with your arms. Take any shape that gives you the balance point between effort and surrender. Are your exhales coming? Do they ride right off? Do they roll right off the inhale? If you're going to find a pause in the breath, find it at the end of the exhale instead of at the end of the inhale. And pauses in the breath are very small. They're just little moments. Okay, let's unwind this pose. Take your feet down. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky, finding your breath. Exhale and melt. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release. Come back down. Okay, step your left foot back, right foot is forward. Maybe you want blocks, maybe you don't. Let's have one more movement round. Inhale, stretch your heart. Exhale, square the hips, straighten-ish the legs. Come forward into a lunge again, climb all the way up and turn to the side. So Virabhadrasana to Warrior Two. Such a great posture to practice the art of effort and surrender. Maybe your surrender means you don't go as deep, that you find that balance point way up high here instead of way down low here. So find just the sweet spot where you meet your edge. You color in your lines, but there's still room to surrender. Is the exhale coming? Gaze out over your finger, find that focus, the focus of the arrow. Can you yield? Can you soften? Can you be strong? All at the same time. How's the work externally rotating that front leg? Can you feel it in your hips? Find the reverse, reach that arm up. Don't turn it into a back bend, just a side body pose. Go a little deeper perhaps, come back to warrior. Find 3 breaths here. Where you're really having to work to stabilize, is there still an exhale to be had? And after 3 breaths, let's go ahead and straighten the leg. Turn your feet to the long edge. Heel toe your feet in just a little bit closer and find your way into a squat. Put your elbows inside your knees. Feel the difference between your 2 legs, having done that pose on one side and not the other. Ground, root, yield, and get low. Feel your center of gravity drop. And then inhale. Stand up to your starfish. Breathe. If you're dizzy, tuck your chin, pause for a moment, bring your arms down. Let's find our way into the pose on the second side. Turning to the left, finding your breathing body. Okay, so you come wherever you go. So remember, the pose does not have to be deep. Sometimes there's a lot more stability to be found when you're higher up in your lunge like this, instead of when you're lower down in your lunge like this. So just seek anywhere along that pathway that is serving you best. Same with the arms. Any trajectory in the arms that's serving the breath, that's serving that balance point between finding your full effort. So try not to shy away from your full effort, but also don't shy away from losing a teeny, teeny touch of that grit into the exhale. Flow the grit into the exhale. How can you discover the least amount of effort required to stabilize yourself in this pose? Are your shoulders dropping? Is the exhale coming? And then let's find the reverse. Reach the arms up. Breathe. And then discover 3 solid breaths here. Find the exhale. Can you stay in the effort and still surrender? Is the tapas that burning zeal to stay, the will to stay, balanced with your ability to be efficient and easy? And then let's go ahead and turn the feet again. This time, instead of coming wide, we're going to, or instead of coming narrow with our legs, we're going to stay wide. Find your breath, lift the arms up. Exhale, lean forward in your goddess first. Take your elbows to the inner knees, open up the inner thighs. Try to allow the knees to draw back behind you. Stretch your heart forward. Are you even weighted in your feet? Spread out the bones of your feet. Feel the 4 points of each foot. And then come on up again. Reaching the arms to the sky. Take a deep breath. Stay upright and find your goddess pose. So once again, the pose might be up high. Maybe your hips like to be in just a little bit less rotation. Maybe you're really deep. Notice if you lean into one leg, try to find the balance. And if you have a knee that doesn't like it, follow the joint that needs less movement. Live there. Find your breath, find your exhales. Is there a surrender to be had? Spin your jar lids with your feet. Pull your heels toward the front of your body. Turn your toes toward the back side. Lots of work, lots of breath. Doesn't matter how deep you are, find where you need to be. Are the exhales coming? Are the shoulders dropping? Least amount of effort required. Yield. All right, and then go ahead and come on up. Turn your feet straight and come into an easy posture. So blocks can be there if you want your hands on blocks. Hands can be on the floor. Relax your body. Let your quads recover from the squatting. Deep breath in and away. All right, let's go ahead and come on up again. Find your breath. Heel toe your feet in. and come to face the front of your mat. Jump a couple times. Or maybe if you're not a jumper, just bounce. Just feel, let go, okay, of the body. All right, and then pause here for a yielding. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Let's move through vinyasa. Inhale, arms coming up to the sky. Exhale and float. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your feet back. What foot do you always bring back first? Try to alternate. Come to dog pose. Yield here, effort here. All right, come forward into a plank. Yield here, effort here. Can you give to the earth? Can you feel the rebound? Is there a place for joints to find a little softness? Is there a place for your exhales to just come? Let's put your knees down if your shoulders. You can even come down onto your forearms if your shoulders need more support. Find any back bend that you love. So it can be, full locust pose or Superman pose. It can be cobra pose. It can be up dog pose. So find what you love. And then come up onto all fours and swirl around, find your spine. If you're skipping dog poses, then go ahead and come into Uttanasana, otherwise find dog pose. Deep breath in and away. Walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Wag your tail around your shoulders. Notice you feel different here than you did in the beginning. Inhale for a halfway lift. Thigh bones move back, sit bones widen, stretch the backs of the legs. Exhale and melt. Push off your feet. Rise up. Maybe lean back, maybe don't. Find your way into a yielding stance. Let your blood pressure equalize. Soften your knees. Take a moment to yield. Take these pauses. So if we're trying to calm ourselves, stretch that distance between an impulse and a reaction. Wouldn't it be great if everyone around the world paused before reacting? Let's try it. Be patient, pause. All right, so sink your roots into your right foot. Let's pick up our left foot for a figure four one-legged chair pose. You can hold on to something. You can stick your butt against something. Okay, so this table's too high, but if you have a wall where you can have some support behind you, there's lots of ways to do this posture that can be supportive. See if you can feel the external rotation of the hip. Find any arms that serve you. Deep inhale. Find the exhales. Try not to hold the breath. Can you effort the body? Can you surrender the body? Can you effort the mind into the body? Can you surrender the mind into the body? Can you yield? Even though you only have 1 foot on the ground, can you find the yielding? Go ahead and come all the way back up. Place that foot on the ground. If you like to hop, bounce, jump, find it. If you're dizzy, wait till it pauses. Wait till it passes, rather. If you have trouble with blood pressure, if you get orthostatically hypotensive very easily, you need to work in those times of just resting and yielding between movements. Okay, let's come into the other side. Cross the foot over. Just notice, do you need some support of walls or stick your butt against a wall? Okay, is this your dominant side or your not dominant side, both in the rotation of the hip and the stability of the standing leg? What are you finding here that's different from the other side? How do you want your arms to be? Stick your butt back, sit bones widen, feel the neutral lumbar curve, be active in the 4 points of both feet, yield and respond. Exhales come. Find the pause. Right at the bottom of the exhale. And then inhale, 2 feet on the ground, lift the arms up. Exhale and float back down. Halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Okay, just pause here for a moment. Okay, we're going to come down onto our knees. We're going to come into pigeon pose. So your right leg is going to come forward. Make sure you have whatever props you need to support yourself in this pose. If you like to have your hip on a blanket, you can always do reverse pigeon pose if you want. Instead, the right leg is coming forward, the left thigh is coming back. I like a blanket across my mat long ways so that I can have both my sit bone of my right leg and my left thigh on the blanket. Maybe you have a whole different situation going on. Maybe you're on your back. Blocks are nice to support your head. Maybe you need 2, maybe you need 1. Having something to surrender into with your forehead is very helpful. Deep inhales, long exhales. Stopping and staying in postures that require surrender. You know, you might think, oh, this is really good for my hip. This is really good for the art of surrender. Can you flow the exhales fully? Can you not hold the in-breath? Can you release the muscles of the in-breath, those tight upper shoulders, traps? Can you let things soften? Is there a way for your eyes and your jaw to teach your breath? Is there a way for your breath to teach your body how to let go? If there's a pause on the breath, it's at the bottom of the exhale. You don't have to pause the breath anywhere, but if there is a natural place that you need to have a break in the breath, a little moment's pause, let it be the bottom of the out breath. Notice the stillness, the silence there. This is a place to marinate, but not stay too long. So we can also control the out breath and let that be a place where we don't surrender. Okay, so it's just a moment. It's just a moment, and then let the next breath come. All right, come on up. Now you choose how you like to come out. Some people like to go into dog pose and lift that leg up in the air. Some people like to just swing the other leg around and switch sides. Maybe you're on your back and you're just switching sides. Maybe one side's on your back and one side is forward. Okay, so find whatever it is you need here. Get any kind of support you need for the posture and let yourself flow into it. A way that we tend to resist surrender in pigeon pose is we tend to push our diaphragm up toward the sky. Our shoulders creep up toward our ears. See what you can do to surrender the band of your diaphragm fully. Let your head rest on something so the neck and shoulders do not have to hold you up. Scan your body from your crown. Oh, you find your hands. Find your crown. Find the shoulders. Scan down through your torso into the pelvis and the legs. And do everything you can to surrender into this posture. You sometimes have trouble letting go. You know, maybe it's the breath you have trouble releasing. Maybe it's a thought pattern you have trouble releasing. Maybe it's a relationship you have trouble releasing. Maybe it's reading the news and you have trouble letting it go through the day. Least amount of effort. Find the freedom on the exhale. Find the freedom and surrender. All right, then we're gonna come on up and come out of this pose. This is not an easy posture for some people, so I'll give you a plan B. We're going to come into fire log. So let's take our right leg over, or our left leg over top of our right and come in. I'm sitting on the edge of a blanket, and I'm also lifting my seat up and moving my sit bones back behind me as I get settled. Now, if your hips are open enough to be like this, great, you can stay here. If you're finding yourself like this and it's hard to get into this posture, I want you to change something. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. So if you're kind of like this and it's hard to let your knees fall into this posture, bring your hands behind you, pick up your under leg and put it on the floor so that we're kind of in that figure four, like the standing pose, balance pose we did. And then lift the chest here. And if you are in fire log, if you're able to get the knees to settle, and if this is easy for you, if you're like, yeah, my hips naturally easily do this, then you get to have a little bit more effort, okay? So if your surrender is just like, I got this, no problem, you have to bring some effort into the pose. So if that's the case, hands on feet, push hands and feet together to each other, lift the spine, and then surrender and let that go and stretch your heart forward. And you can do this PNF stretch a few times where you press your hands and feet into each other. Don't hold your breath while you're doing it. And then release and surrender the chest forward. So you don't want to round. And even if your hands are behind you, surrender the chest up so we're not collapsing. So whatever variation is working for your body, we're getting deep into the hips here. Find the exhales, find the surrender in the body. All right, come on up, undo. So other legs on top. The other way you can tell if you're not able to be in this pose safely, you can't really see my foot very well, but if you have lots of wrinkles in your inner ankle and your foot is more turned up toward the sky instead of stretching this way, so you don't want your foot to collapse. You want to be active through your foot, and you also want to stack. So you don't want your foot on the inside edge of your inner thigh. You want it on top of your thigh. Find your spine. If you have something to give, lift your body up, move your sit bones back behind you, lift the spine again. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you're leaning back, taking that foot on the floor. Okay, so find wherever you are in the sequence. There's no judgment about how tight or loose. You just are where you are. Okay, hands on feet if you need more. Press hands and feet into each other. Have a breath here and then let that go and surrender deeper. Chest is lifting the whole way. That PNF stretch where you push foot into hand, hold it for 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then let it go. Find the breath. Whatever you're doing, the exhales guide you. All right, let's go ahead and find our way out of the pose. Okay, unwind. Stretch your legs out for a moment. Just shake your knees. Now we're going to come into a supported, if you want, Supta Baddha Konasana. So depending on the props that you have, there's so many different ways. You can take heart bench blocks if you want. So one block. You can, if you have extra blankets, you can stick a blanket on top so it's not so hard underneath you. You can open up another blanket like long ways and turn it into a snake, a big roll. This is just one option, okay? so that when you sit back, you can take the soles of your feet together, have the support underneath your head and back, and then you take your snake over your feet and tucked it underneath your outer hips, so you have support for your hips. This is probably the least amount of propping I could figure out. You can also be on your back, flat on your back with nothing underneath your back, and you can just take a pillow or something underneath each. So let's say you don't have any props other than a couple pillows. You can lie on your back and just stick a pillow underneath each outer hip so that your knees, the most important thing here is for your knees, your outer legs to be supported. Even though we've done all this work to open ourselves, I want you to find some support. It doesn't have to be, you can come to your edge, let your knees fall where they're comfortable and then support them there. So whether you have stuff under your back or not, see what it feels like to allow yourself, let your feet now, you know how when we stand and we bring our palms together at our heart, and that gives us, and maybe do it right now, bring your palms together and just feel that center and let your feet be that now. And then let your hands release out to the sides and rest. Feel the soles of your feet touch gently. Let that center line travel through the pelvis, through the spine. Can you breathe and let go? Where are you holding? Where is it hard for you to release your fingers on the arrow? And it's okay to honor the places that you hold. You probably hold them for a very good reason. So as you slowly soften and let go of those places, do it gently. You don't have to push yourself over an edge. You can just uncurl any small amount. Find your breathing. Steady pace, long exhales. Any point you want to straighten your legs for Shavasana, you can. If you need support underneath your knees for Shavasana, take it. If you are very happy in Supta Baddha Konasana and you want to stay longer, do so. If there's anything else your body needs before resting, do that. Remember, this is your practice. You get to do what feels best for you. As you meander your way into our final rest, this is the deep art of surrender. This pose has so much to teach us. Shavasana is not just the icing on the cake. It's the deep wisdom of your practice, living right here. So yield and give yourself over to that spaciousness where there's no need to react. You can let things go. Keep finding the breath.
Begin to deepen our breathing. Remember, Shavasana can be found in every moment of the day. You don't have to carve out 10 minutes to lie down. You can close your eyes and take a breath. You can pause at any moment to find the gift of this deep surrender. Let's deepen the breathing. Let your body drop one more time. Feel your whole body yield. Find one more place to let go. And then find your way into movement when you're ready. Stretching through your limbs, arms, legs, fingers, toes. Finding your way onto your side and upright. Remember that it's okay to slow down sometimes, that if your mind rushes, if your body rushes, sometimes slowing down and pausing into the surrender can be very efficient, time saving, energy saving. Okay, so let's bring our palms together at our heart. And whatever you're able to release, what can you give outward? Can you share this energy of surrender with someone who needs it? Do you know someone who's bound, who's having a hard time letting go? Namaste. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a fabulous day.